Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Belchan.
I'm Nimakong.
I'm Ban Chan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you a part of Great Expectations.
S.
L.
Great Expectations. Charles Dickens. Chap. 39 sec 2. Nonetheless, you are waked, and you look weary. He had replaced his neckerchief loosely, and had stood, keenly observant of me, biting a long end of it. I think he answered, still with his mouth and still observant of me. There was a tray ready on a side table. I brought it to the table near the fire, and asked him what he would have. He touched one of the bottles without looking at it or speaking, and I made him some hot rum and water. I tried to keep my hand steady while I did so. Struggled end of his neckerchief between his teeth evidently forgot and made my hand very difficult to master. When at last I put the glass to him, I saw with amazement that his eyes were full of tears. Up to this time I had remained standing. Not to disguise that I wished him gone, but I was softened by the softened aspect of the man, and felt a touch of reproach. I hope, said I, hurriedly putting something into a glass for myself, and drawing a chair to the table, that you will not think I spoke harshly to you just now. I had no intention of doing it, and I am sorry for it if I did. As I put my glass to my lips, he glanced with surprise at the end of his neckerchief, dropping from his mouth when he opened it, and stretched out his hand. I gave him mine, and then he drank, and drew his sleeve across his eyes and forehead. How are you living? I asked him. I've been a sheep farmer, stock breeder, other trades besides. Away in the New World, said he. I've done wonderfully well. There's others went out longer me as has done well too, but no man has done nigh as well as me. I hope to hear you say so. Spoken. I turned off to a point that had just come into my mind. Have you ever seen a messenger you once sent to me? I inquired. Never set eyes upon him. He came faithfully, and he brought me the 2 £1 notes. I was a poor boy then, as you know, and to a poor boy they were little fortune. But, like you, I have done well since, and you must let me pay them back. You can put them to some other poor boy's use. I took out my purse. He watched me as I laid my purse upon the table and opened it, and he watched me as I separated 2 £1 notes from its contents. They were clean and new, and I spread them out and handed them over to him. Still watching me, he laid them one upon the other, folded them longwise, gave them a twist, set fire to them at the lamp, and dropped their ashes into the tray. May I make so bold, he said then, with a smile that was like a frown, and with a frown that was like a smile. As askew how you have done well. He emptied his glass, got out, and stood at the side of the fire, with his heavy brown hand on the mantel shelf. He put a foot up to the bars, to dry and warm it. and the workbeat began to steam. But he neither looked at it nor at the fire, but steadily looked at me. It was only now that I began to tremble, when my lips had parted and had shaped some words that were without sound. I forced myself to tell him, though I could not do it distinctly, that I had been chosen to succeed to some property. "Might a mere warmint ask what property?" said he. I judged. "Might a mere warmint ask whose property?" said he. I felt it again. Could I make a guess? "I wonder," said the convict, "at your income since come of age." As to the first figure now, with my heart beating like a heavy hammer of sword reduction, I rose out of my chair and stood with my hand upon the back of it, looking wildly at him. "Concerning a guardian," he went on, "there ought to have been some guardian, or such like, whiles he was a minor. Some lawyer, maybe. As to the first letter of that lawyer's name now, all the truth of my position came flashing on me, and its disappointments, dangers, disgrace, consequences of all kinds, to struggle for every breath I drew. "Freddie," he resumed, "as the employer of that lawyer whose name begun with a J, I might be jealous about it, as he had come overseas to Portsmouth, and had landed there, and had wanted to come on to you. However, you have found me out, you says just now. Well, however, did I find you out? Well, I wrote from Portsmouth to a person in London for particulars of your address. That person's name, well, I could not have spoken one word, though it had been to save my life. I stayed, with a hand on the chair back and a hand on my breast. Where I seemed to be suffocating, he stood so, looking wildly at him, until I grasped at the chair, when the room began to surge and turn. He got me, drew me to the sofa, put me up against the cushions, and bent on one knee before me, bringing the face that I now well remembered, and that I shuddered at, very near mine. Is in Thibaut, I've made a gentleman on you. It's me what has done it. I swore that time, sure as ever I earned a guinea, that guinea should go to you. I swore afterwards, sure as ever I speculated and got rich, you should get rich. I live rough, that you should live smooth. I worked hard, that you should be above work. What else? Dear boy, do I tell it for you to feel obligation? Not a bit. I tell it for you to know as that there hunted General Dog what you get life in. Got his head so high that he could make a gentleman, and in the abhorrence in which I held the man, the dread I had of him, the repugnance with which I shrank from him, could not have been exceeded if he had been some terrible beast. Look, sir, Phil, I'm your second father. You are my son more to me nor any son. I've put away money, only for you to spend. When I was a hired out shepherd in a solitary hut, women's faces was like, I see you in dinner or my supper, and I says, there's the boy again. Times, as plain as ever I see you on them misty marshes. Say under the open heavens about what? If I get liberty and money, I'll make that boy a gentleman, and I done it. I'll look at you, dear boy. Look at these your lodgings of one, fit for a lord. A lord? Ah, he shall show many with lords for wagers. In his heat and triumph, and in his knowledge that I had been nearly fainting, he did not remark my reception of all this. It was the one graying of relief I had. Look, sir, he went on, taking my watch out of my pocket, and turning towards him a ring on my finger, while I recoiled from his touch as if he had been a snake. A golden and a beauty. That's a gentleman's, I hope. A diamond all set round with rubies. That's a gentleman's, I hope. Look at your linen, fine and beautiful. Look at your clothes, by Jane to be got. And your books too, turning his eyes round the room, mounting up on their shelves by hundreds. And you read him, don't you? I see you've been a reading of him when I come in. All. Ah, you shall read him to me, dear boy. And if they're in foreign languages what I don't understand. Again he took both my hands and put them to his lips, while my blood ran cold within me. To be continued.